What's up, everyone? Quick intro here before we start the actual podcast episode. The guest's name is Chanel. We met at a networking event, and Chanel has really taught me the importance of rest. I think in today's world, the importance of this is overlooked. A lot of people don't take it seriously. So in this episode, I want to talk about her story and how she was pretty much forced to learn this lesson. So if that's a topic that interests you, keep on watching. Enjoy. All right, welcome back to another episode of the People's Side Podcast. I'm here with Chanel, and I've actually learned a lot from you, so thank you. I think your big thing is rest, and I've relearned this lesson over and over again about the importance of rest. And I think you were one of the first people that really pushed for it, because a lot of times in today's day and age with hustle culture and productivity being glamorized a lot, you don't really see a lot of that. And so I want to hear more about you. Maybe you can give a brief introduction about what you do, and then also the story. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. Hi, everyone. My name is Chanel. I'm a food fairy, holistic nutritionist, and rest and digest coach. So my main thing is that I help you sleep 8 hours every night and drink boba without tummy troubles. I do all this through what I call the magic of food, which is combining nutrition and spirituality and energetics of food. And that is basically what I do.
Nice. About your story with rest and how you learn, I saw an Instagram story about you giving like a snippet of this, and from my impression, it looked like that's when you learned, probably over multiple instances, the importance of rest. So I want to hear more about that and like your story.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I've burned out about 3 times in my life, I'd say. So the first time was because I had depression. I got diagnosed with it when I was 16. And it was definitely because I wasn't getting mental rest, which back then no one even knew what that was. Depression had huge stigma about it. My parents refused to accept that it was even a thing. That wasn't really when the lesson really solidified. It was the second time I burnt out, which was when I was 24, I think. And I went to the hospital 4 times in 6 months.
Okay. Why?
Yeah. Okay. 4 times in 6 months.
Yeah. What happened? Like, walk me through each of the instances. Like, what happened? Like,
so what I can only conclude at the end was that like I was so desperate of rest that my body gave up on so many different levels. So I was working retail. I was working 40 hours a week during retail. Okay. And it was insane. And I was just getting a new promotion from, I think it was like regular employee to shift supervisor / key holder. And I had to commute from Burnaby to North Van for training, which was an hour in its own. And then 8 hours of training and then an hour and a half to transit back because of traffic. And that was when, as a woman, my period stopped, or it became extremely irregular. And I just brushed it off. I was like, oh, I'm just stressed. Oh, there's nothing else I can do. Oh, all I need to do is get more sleep. But I wasn't even getting more sleep because I was spending like 10 hours at this job. Yeah. That wasn't making me that much, but I was giving it my all, hoping it would lead to something bigger. Yeah. I didn't feel like I had enough time during my day, and I fell into something that is now known as, I think it's called bedtime procrastination. Have you heard of the bedtime procrastination thing?
Isn't that like revenge?
Yeah, revenge bedtime procrastination.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, that's the thing. So I ended up staying up until like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., going to bed, and then waking up at 9 a.m. just to start my day all over again. And that's when it started leading to my first hospital visit. Okay,
so for people that aren't familiar with the term, like how would you define that term? Like, what was...
When you feel like you don't have enough time during your day, that you want to get back at the world by giving yourself more time during the night.
I see.
That's how I would describe it, because it's a sort of like, oh, I'm taking revenge on society. I'm taking revenge on society for taking 40 hours of my time every week, plus some more for commute, for lunch, for everything. And therefore, this is how I'm getting it back. This is how I'm sticking it to the mat.
Yes. I've heard of this concept before, and I don't know if this is referring to the same concept, because I honestly kind of forget the definition, but something that I heard in a YouTube video once was, you don't have enough fun during the day, so you stay up trying to... I scroll.
Yeah, no, doom scrolling.
And it's just like I'm just watching YouTube videos, and then like sometimes I reflect back and I'm like, why can't I just go to sleep? It's so easy, right?
Yeah.
Just like shut your eyes and go to sleep. But yeah, it's I just resonated with that so hard when the guy in the YouTube video said it. He was like you spend all this time during the day doing work at your job, whatever, and it's unfulfilling, and then you go to bed and you want to stay up and you want to keep on having fun because you don't have enough fun during the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
no, that definitely connects to like an inner child thing. Because you're just like, oh, your inner child's not satisfied. Remember when you were a kid, all you wanted to do was stay up past your bedtime? No matter what time your bedtime was, you just thought you just feel more superior, feel better, feel more adult, feel like you're breaking some rules. And then that just eventually leads to like, oh, I just really want to stay up past XYZ because I want to stick it to the person that is making me do all of this. Yeah. Anyways, so that's what revenge bedtime procrastination is. And it hit me. And it affected me. First, it started with my period being irregular. I was experiencing excruciating pain, which actually ended up sending me to the hospital for the first time to the ER because I was bleeding internally.
Oh, wow.
I had an ectopic pregnancy, which is when a pregnancy occurs outside of your uterus where it's supposed to be. For me, it happened in my fallopian tube, and that made my fallopian tube burst, which explained all the bleeding and all the pain, which I just thought was normal because, you know, my doctors were like, oh, you're experiencing menstrual pain? That's totally normal. You're a woman. You're supposed to. Just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. I don't believe that we were given periods just to suffer because that would suck. And that led me in emergency surgery.
Oh, damn.
So that was the first visit. And
was that caused by like stress though? Because you said it was
caused by stress.
It was
but it was worsened by my brush off, like me just disregarding, like, oh, it's stress, I'll just sleep it off, or oh, it's stress, I'll just doom scroll some more until I feel better about it, or oh, it's stress, I'll just binge game until I like process my stress and digest it, right? But the thing is, like, when you're not regularly maintaining your body with the adequate rest, the adequate digestion, and all the essential things you need to do in your life, it adds up and it becomes this crazy thing that takes over your body and makes you feel like absolute. Can I swear on this thing?
Can
I swear on the podcast?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
I wasn't sure, like, what's your audience? But it makes you feel like absolute shit. And it's not just like a one day thing. Like, Rome wasn't built in one day. You can't just be like, wake up one day like, oh, I feel like absolute shit, like I'm about to die. It's a culmination of something over time. It can take as little as 2 minutes, or it can take as much as like multiple years. For that, it had been something that had been going on since I actually started that retail job. Because, again, revenge bedtime procrastination. I wasn't having enough fun during the day. I was spending more hours than I was getting paid for because I had to commute to and from work. And it sucked.
So so I don't have fallopian tubes. So I'm trying to understand this because you said it was a like a pregnancy that happened outside of the usual place that pregnancies happen. So that is something that was also caused by stress, or like how did that
so
work
with
out?
women specifically, stress wreaks havoc on our hormones. And so my hormones were completely fucked. And this can happen in men too, but for men it shows up as like spots on your skin tags, man boobs. But in women, it wreaks havoc on our very rhythm of our body. So we have 2 rhythms for women. We have circadian, which everyone has. It's our sleep-wake cycle. But we also have an infradian rhythm, which is our menstrual cycle. Yeah, which is why, you know, more and more studies are showing that the 40-hour work week doesn't really work with women. The working 9 to 5, because we are going through different moods, different states of mind and being every single week of the month. And it's cool. Like, it's not a bad thing. But for most people, they think, oh, that means you're not productive. So not true. I have a whole masterclass about this, but we're not going to talk about that. So with me, it showed up. My stress raised my cortisol levels, which fucked my sleep-wake cycle, because cortisol is the one that helps you wake up. Cortisol is released when your body is in something called fight or flight. And when you're in fight or flight mode, it means your body only focuses on one thing, and it's to survive. So it's not going to care about rest. It's not going to care about digesting. It's not going to care about processing your emotions. It's not going to care about thinking deeply and self-reflection and being self-aware. All it wants to do is survive. Imagine if you're running from a saber-toothed tiger. You're not going to think about what you're going to have for lunch. You're going to think about how am I going to not end up being this thing's lunch. So when you're in that state, you're not healing, and all of these things add up. and, you know, menstrual cycle, last thing on my body's mind to actually go through.
Yeah.
And that's what started everything.
Mm-hmm.
I did the research myself, which was invalidated by the doctor after for my follow-up visit.
Wait, what?
Because I took a Plan B, right? And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
so I read this research that like Plan B affects the little like cilia, like the hands of they help transport the egg.
Yeah.
And I was like, it affects the sensitivity of those. Like, what do you think of this research? And they're like, oh, I'll bring it up with the doctor.
Yeah.
And I brought it up with the doctor because their intern or resident did it.
Yeah. Wait, what was this? Was this like at the hospital?
Yeah,
Like,
it was at
okay,
the follow-up visit after my surgery.
Okay,
and then
okay.
they were just like, yeah, I know nothing about this, but you're worrying too much. I'm like, huh? But anyways, so it was definitely stress was the result. And it was, you know, me not getting enough rest because of my revenge bedtime procrastination definitely contributed to making whole matters worse.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not resting, what I find also is you're not creating space for your body.
Mm-hmm.
We actually do the most healing when we're resting.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why these things happen when you're under stress and you don't get enough time to rest.
Mm-hmm.
So things like allergies can be one.
Mm-hmm.
Things like having tummy troubles after you drink boba can be one.
Mm-hmm.
Things like poor scar healing or lots of acne.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are all results of lack of sleep because your body is unable to heal.
Yeah.
We do the most healing when we are in stage 3 deep sleep. And a lot of people, unfortunately, don't get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you've had, it sounds like it started with stress, and it sounds like it's been happening for a while because you've been at this job for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You landed in the ER, I'm assuming?
I landed in the ER. I got surgery.
Okay, got surgery. Had a follow-up visit.
Had a follow-up visit.
What was the second time like?
The second time was because I started peeing blood while I was at work.
Okay.
And I was in pain. And then that rushed me to the ER. And because I just recently had surgery, they were like, oh, we're going to send you, you don't need to be triaged. We're going to send you straight to an exam room right away. Because this could this could travel up to your kidney and could be worse.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I did not rest as well. I went back to work 2 weeks after my surgery.
Okay.
And I had like multiple surgical scars on my abdomen.
So this is after the first time?
This was after the first time. Like, I did not rest at all.
You still didn't get enough sleep?
Oh, no.
Okay,
like,
okay.
I probably did, but like, it wasn't quality sleep.
Yeah.
And I could have done more. And I was still worried about a gazillion things on my mind, unable to rest, and still in the fight or flight mode. And yeah, that sent me back to the hospital for the second time.
How long, like...
It was only 4 weeks. It was like a month after. And then I got sent back to the hospital. I was like, holy crap, what's wrong with me? Yeah, so that happened. And then they gave me antibiotics, which I took. And then that was that.
Yeah.
I still, for some reason, felt this like duty to my job that even though I was out sick, I was still looking for shift coverage. Like, that wasn't even part of my job description, but I had such bad people pleasing tendencies that I was willing to put myself under everybody else and put the integrity of my job first for a retail job. Like, for God's sake, because this is the culture we live in. Like, your job is supposed to be your value, be your everything, money comes above everything else. But like, at what cost? Like, I was literally in and out of the hospital a total of 3 times, not including the follow-up visit, within a month. Like, that's freaking crazy. And then it just got worse from there because I did not learn. Being the 24-year-old thinking, oh, I can bounce back right away. A few months later, 2-3 months later, because my immune system had been just so drained from everything and I still wasn't resting properly. Like, resting goes beyond just sleep. It involves a lot of other things too. I got chickenpox at 24 for the very first time in my life.
Okay. Isn't that like really rare?
Yes, because most people get chickenpox when you're a kid. If you don't, you get a vaccine for it. But the vaccine wears off in about 20 years.
Okay.
For some people. I got chickenpox from a coworker because the coworker's fiance got shingles. So I got chickenpox.
Oh.
And that sent me to the hospital because I got antibiotics for my chickenpox. Or sulfa-based antibiotics. I was allergic to them.
Oh, and you didn't know?
I didn't know.
Oh, shit.
I knew I was allergic to penicillin, but I've had very few instances in my life where I actually needed to take antibiotics. So I didn't know what I was actually allergic to because I hadn't been exposed to it.
Yeah.
And again, that landed me another visit to the hospital, another 1 or 2 weeks off from work. But even sitting at home, all I could think of was work, which was, again, crazy.
Yeah.
So that was my 3rd hospital visit. And then 6 weeks later, I ended up in the hospital for the 4th time.
Yeah.
Because I got a cold that developed into a lung infection where I was coughing up blood.
Oh, shit. Okay.
So that was like, I was coughing up blood.
Oh,
that was the craziest 6 months of my freaking life. Yeah. And it was like during seasonal too.
Yeah.
So I got chicken pox in like October, November.
Yeah.
And then people started shopping for Christmas gifts. And then I started getting sick. And then it was like the lung infection culminated between November and December.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, all I had was like work on my mind because they wanted me to like train the new seasonals and everything.
Yeah.
So after that, I was just like, I plateaued.
Yeah.
I remember just being a complete zombie and just going through the motions. Still not quite resting. Like, yeah, I was sleeping. But I think all I was doing at that time was like sleeping, eating, gaming, and going to work.
Yeah.
Like, that was it.
That's very relatable.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Like, all I remember from that time was just being sick and just doing all of those and maybe like lounging around on the TV. I wasn't like doing anything because I couldn't physically bring my body to do anything because of how battered my whole system had been.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't resting properly.
So at what point, like it sounds like, you know, like you're like then and now. There must have been a turning point or a point where you like realized you're like, oh shit, maybe I should, you know, like not do what I'm doing right now.
It was definitely not in those 6 months.
Yeah.
Which I really wish it was, but you know, things happen for us to learn from them.
Yeah.
3 months later, I got a really crappy manager that cut my shifts and actually allowed me to get time to rest for myself and finally realize like, oh, this environment isn't working for me.
Okay.
By crappy manager, I mean she cut my hours.
Yeah.
She started bullying my coworkers.
Yeah.
And she also avoided scheduling herself with me at any shift, so I couldn't confront her about it. And yeah, like, again, I believe everything happens for a reason. So that was when I realized, like, okay, this isn't working. This isn't an environment where, like, I'm able to thrive anymore because my favorite manager had left.
Yes.
And then I was just like, no, I'm going to quit and move on to what I thought was my dream job at that time, which was working in an office as a professional advisor to a supplements company. So I was like, okay, if I'm working stable 9 to 5 every single day, that means I can actually schedule 8 hours of sleep every single night. That means this, whatever happened in the past 6 months, is way less likely to happen.
I see. So your retail job wasn't stable. Like, it wasn't. Like,
no,
shift?
it wasn't.
Okay,
it was like shift. It was definitely, I would get 40 hours every week, 30 to 40. But like, it wasn't set times.
Okay. It was like, come in when we need you, or come in during, and then like, okay, I see.
They tried their best, definitely. But, you know, with everyone else being on a part-time basis, it was more like, oh, fill in the blank.
I see.
Yeah.
Like, was this like you stocking stuff? Like, what do you mean by retail? Like,
I was doing everything.
Oh, okay. So from like, so if I imagine like the typical retail worker, like a Walmart employee.
I was working at David's Tea.
Okay.
Imagine high traffic.
Yeah.
High pressure. You know, I was doing everything. I was doing cashiering. I was helping train. I did the drink station. I did merchandising. I also opened and closed. I did stocking.
I see.
Everything.
So I wanna zoom into the moment because you said that your new manager cut your shifts, and that sounded like it gave you the time to reflect and realize that it wasn't like what was that like what was the turning point when you kind of realized that shit, this is not working for me. This is not how I want to live.
When she started cutting my hours, I was like, I want to be more stable. And then that led me into more like self-reflection, awareness, and talking to a lot of coworkers, realizing they're very unhappy too. And so I made the decision to leave. I held off for a little bit because I was like, okay, I want to give the resignation letter to her in person. But she purposely scheduled her shifts away from me. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll just leave it in an envelope and leave it on her makeshift desk. And after I left, pretty much everybody else left, which meant I was going in the right direction.
I see.
Yeah, but
what was it like to make that decision and actually write that letter? And because it sounded like
it was liberating.
But it sounded like up until that point, you put a lot of value in being able to go to your job and do your job, and it sounds like you also value stability. So
yeah, I did enjoy it, but again, she took away the one thing that I had going for the job, which was stability.
Okay.
And that got me to reflect, like, where do I see myself in 5 years? You know, the typical self-reflection questions that people always ask you. Hey, where do you see yourself in XYZ years? Oh, what do you see yourself doing in the future?
Yeah.
And like people are moving on. I was like, I want to move on. Okay, what do I want to do next? Okay, I want something stable. I want to finally fulfill that Canadian dream that my parents had. Yeah. You know, when your immigrant parents move and want you to get a stable job with benefits that'll set you for life. And so I went for that dream because it felt like the best option for me at the time. Reflecting back at it, yeah, it is. It may not have been the best option in my life, but it was for at the time, so I don't regret it. Did you feel like a fear or uncertainty around that? Like, no, not really. I've always interviewed really well. Like, I would shoot my resume and I would get 80% callbacks. So I've never had a fear about never being able to find a job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So then what happened after? Like, what was? Yeah, like what led you to value rest so much? Because it sounded like the cutting of shifts led you to realize that this job wasn't working for you. Yeah. But you know, I'd imagine it's not like one day you just wake up and you're like, oh, I'll just get 8 hours of sleep now, you know? Like, I'll start treating my body right and listening to it,
No, it was only that easy. No, during that 6 months, I did a lot of self-shaming, actually, because, you know, I had already graduated nutrition school. Yeah. It's like, how could I let myself get to this stage? It was self-shaming, and it wasn't very self-empowering. So there was that shift to
You mean
it.
Like, I have a degree in this, but I still feel like shit. Okay.
Yeah, like I have a degree in nutrition. How could I let myself be in the hospital 4 times in 6 months? How could I possibly let myself, what the hell happened? Who are you even? And it was that really got me to like going back to my basics. Like, oh, because it was always my dream to start my own business. Like, oh, what can I do for myself? If I were my own client, like, what would I do? What would I suggest myself? Well, how would I coach myself? Well, back then I wasn't even coaching. It was more like, how would I consult myself? So it was going back to the fundamentals, like sleeping 8 hours, drinking 2 liters of water, making sure I'm eating fiber at every meal, adequate protein, fat, XYZ. And then I was like, okay. And then it still led me to stability. Yeah. And so that was like, okay, so how can I have this, but also have stability at the same time? And I was like, oh, okay, if I find a job like this, that'll give me set hours and benefits, then I'm pretty much set for life, right? Because that was what I knew best at the time. Yeah. Yeah, so that was the shift. I wish it was as easy as like me waking up. Yeah. But it was 6 months of self-shaming, 6 months of complete body burnout, 6 months of
was this
hell.
Like the 6 months you're referring to, was that during the time, like the hospital period, or was that after?
It was during the hospital period. Okay. Like, so I was going in and out.
Okay, yeah. So there was a bit
sorry
of
for myself.
Yeah, okay. So there was a bit of, I don't know if you call it self-reflection, because you're saying self-shaming.
Self-shaming. It was beating myself up.
Yeah. Not super positive self-reflection.
No, it was like the worst self-reflection anyone could have done. And I'm like hypercritical, being like the firstborn daughter of immigrant parents. Yeah. I'm very judgmental, especially to myself. And yeah, I just always felt like I had to put on this like facade of being like strong, being able to carry everyone on my shoulders, like the firstborn daughter of like Encanto. Like to be perfect. I have to be like that. Yeah, it was pain. It's all I can think about it right now, but back there was pain. And when I went to the follow-up visit, not only did the doctor invalidate my own research, I mean, I'm sure she's seen a lot of hypochondriac patients that are paranoid about having everything in the book. But like, I was genuinely concerned. And then she also shamed me about not wanting to go on birth control. So that was a whole other tangent that I ended up putting myself into that I think actually started the whole self-shame spiral. So anyways, that's just a random tangent that I wanted to bring up. You're responsible for making the own choices for your body. Don't ever let anyone shame you, not even if they're a doctor.
I see. So then what led you to start taking steps towards getting enough rest and actually treating your body right?
I just didn't want to feel like shit again.
And
it's as simple as that.
Was this after you quit your retail job?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
I just didn't want to put myself in that position ever again.
I see.
Because I don't... Normally when I do something, even if I fuck up, I will not go back to it. Like, my decisions, I believe, are absolute. I have that much confidence in myself. Like, if I move forward with something, I did it for a reason. If I fucked it up, it meant to be fucked up for a reason. So, like, right now, I just started my business about a year ago, right? If this doesn't work out, then that means it's not working out for a reason. Like, I'm not going to go back and try to fix everything I possibly can, because it means I already did everything I possibly could. And so for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to quit this retail job. I'm never going to find another retail job ever again. I'm done with that. Like, it led me to XYZ, but it also taught me XYZ. And this is what I'm taking out of it, and this is what I'm bringing into the next chapter, which was, for me, seeking stability, fulfilling the American/Canadian dream, and, you know, seeing how my parents did it, seeing how other parents did it, and they were getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep. They seem okay, right? They seem to be thriving in their life, so why can't I do that too?
I see. Was a lot of this just you on your own trying to figure this out, or did you have like people you talked to that, you know, made you realize like, oh, this person is getting enough sleep and they're functional and great/happy with their life? Maybe
I'd say like my mom probably, because she went back to school with me when she was 47. Also went to nutrition school.
Wait, she went back to school with you?
Yeah, after I graduated high school, I went to nutrition school. She decided to go back to school again at 47 to actually do the program with me.
Yeah. Were you in the same class?
We were in some classes.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But like with her, it was more like nagging.
Yeah.
And you know, like when parents nag you, it just goes in one ear and goes out the other.
Yeah.
So like I was listening to some parts, but I'm very selective about what I want to take, because she has her own baggage too. I don't want to take that.
Yeah.
I just want to take what actually like would
The good
spark
stuff.
something in me and help like rewire my brain about rest. Something that she's always said to me really like helped me hold on to everything even up till now. She said, it was in Mandarin. She said, 休息是为了要走更长的路. And it means you rest so that you can go further. And I realized, like, through all my job changes, I always had in-between time, like rest time. And I would just do absolutely nothing so I could actually get clearer on what direction I want to go. Because like I said before, like when you rest, it's not just for your body to heal and recover. It's to give yourself space and time. It's like when you are making bread and you make dough and you let it rest so it can rise. It's like when you sear a really good steak and you let it rest so that the juices can sit and actually like be the tastiest steak you've ever had. I believe it's like that with us too. When you give yourself enough rest, like you can pretty much heal through a lot of things. But you have to give yourself adequate rest on a regular basis. It's not just like, oh, I've been burnt out for 2 years. I'm going to sleep on these 2 days for 14 hours and it's going to fix everything. It's not like that. I mean, we wish it would be like that. But the reality is like physically, we're just not that fast yet. Mentally and emotionally, yeah, we can be that fast with practice. But physically, it takes a while for things to physically change. Like you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to build this 13-story building in like 2 days. Maybe if you're in Japan, maybe if you're 3D printing stuff, but you can't do that with your body.
I see.
Yeah.
I heard that like sleep debt is not linear, or
No.
like a better way to say that is it's not 1-to-1, right? Just because you lose 4 hours of sleep doesn't mean you can just sleep 4 hours, you know, on the weekend and be like, oh, I'm good.
The reality is you can never catch up to your sleep debt, like ever. All you can do is keep showing up, keep moving forward, do your best every day. Don't try to aim for all or nothing. All or nothing approach is actually one of the worst things you can do when you're looking to heal or looking to just make any change.
What do you mean by all or nothing approach?
It's like, so it's like a lot of people I know are like collect K-pop photo cards, me included. So a lot of them are doing this like 30-day no spend spree, and they're like, I'm on day 7, I spent. Oh no, I got to start from day 1 again. All or nothing.
I see.
Like you either go all in or you go nothing.
Yeah. So it's like oh, I'm gonna try to get 8 hours of sleep every day, and then one day you fuck up and you're just like, like fuck this whole thing, right? You're just like, I'm just like not gonna try.
Exactly. You know? It's like, the diet starts tomorrow. Oh, the plan starts tomorrow. No, it's your brain just doesn't work like that. Like again, everything is so gradual. Our human programming and behavior just doesn't work like that. Like that's why when you quit things cold turkey, it's hard. You want to do it gradual, especially with like caffeine too. And this is why like when you're taking medication, your doctor will try to wean you off it because there will be very subtle or adverse effects in your body. Again, our bodies take a while to catch up. And it takes even longer when you're not getting your 8 hours of sleep every day.
Yeah, so I remember you telling me a story about how you quit, and I don't know if this was the first time or the second time, but you said you just slept for...
Oh, that was the third time.
It was the third time? Okay.
So it was my corporate job, the dream job I quit my retail job for.
Yeah.
It burnt me out, and I honestly thought I quit this job 2-3 times. I'm like so grateful that they took me back every single time. They're really good people, and I like love them, and I still try to see them. I saw them at a trade show a couple weeks ago, or no, a month ago.
So this is the job after your retail job.
Yeah. But like I still burnt out, and this was like a more of a spiritual burnt out. Like I felt so drained because I wasn't fulfilling my life's purpose. Thank you for taking me back 3 times if you're listening to this. So grateful. And so I thought like, curing burnout means like quitting my job. No, it just meant I needed more sleep and more other types of rest. There are actually 7 total types. We can dive into that a little later.
Yes.
But yeah, when I quit my job for the second or third time, oh my God. I slept for 10 hours, 10 to 12 hours for 14 days straight. And on the 15th day, I woke up and like at 7 and I started working out. And like most people would be like, oh, that seems like an overnight success story. Like, oh, you just went, it's like similar to like, oh, going viral overnight. Like it's never overnight. It's a gradual thing.
Yeah. So 10 to 14 hours.
10 to 12.
10 to 12 hours for 14 days straight. Like what happened to start that? Because like hearing your story, it sounds like you would set alarms or try to wake up and be like, oh, I gotta like do this day, or I gotta be productive, or like was this intentional? Did your body just crash? Like what happened?
My body crashed.
So you just like slept through like alarms,
everything. Like, I just turned off my alarms after the first crash. I was like, no, we're just gonna focus on being a baby.
Yeah.
Like it was so what actually led to it was months of just going to work, coming back around like 5 and just diving straight into bed for 4 hours, waking up at 9 and having like next to nothing for dinner, then doing it all over again.
I see.
It was a constant like combination of revenge bedtime procrastination with just like lack of sleep and no emphasis on rest and sleep debt. All of those things added up together. I was just sleeping anytime I could.
I see. Yeah.
It was not safe.
So
it was god awful. And in a family that valued productivity, I seemed useless. I was still making money, but I just had no desire to spend it. I saved a lot because of it, which was great. But I just didn't feel like I was alive anymore. And so months of that happening, like diving into bed right after work, eventually led to like when I quit the first day after, I just felt so relaxed. Like there was nothing that would pull me out of bed anymore. And then for 14 days I was just like, just gonna be a baby. Eat, play, sleep, walk, just nothing else.
When I've had experiences where you have like, I have like a hectic week and I don't really get time to rest. And I'm constantly pushing myself to do these things. Got all these things on my calendar. And then on a day where my calendar is just free, it's like your body knows, which is like wild. Like it's such like a wild thing to think about when you actually think about it. You're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. It's like, wow, my body is really tired and I've been trying to do all this shit, and on the day where I don't have anything, it just wants to like sleep like the entire day. And so I can relate to that. And it's interesting how, especially in my own journey, I've learned to value and listen to my body more, because it just tells you a lot. And if people listening or watching are like me, and because I'm up in my head a lot and I'm very logical, and so I think a lot instead of listening to my body and being in tune with my emotions, it's very easy to ignore. It's incredibly 100%. Easy to ignore.
Because when you're not sleeping, your check engine light will go on, your hazard lights will go on. your fuel is low.
Yeah.
Every single thing you can think of on your dashboard of your car that's lit up will light up for your body. And it's really hard to actually be able to listen to your body when everything is happening. It's like those sirens we hear outside your window right now. It's like you're not going to be focused on sleeping. You're not going to be focused on actually listening to your messages. All you're wondering is like, oh, what's this siren for? What's this one for? What can I do? Should I even do anything about it? What the hell is happening? All these chaotic thoughts in your head. But when you actually rest, they start turning off because your body is so capable of healing. Like, again, your puberty acne all disappeared because your body's able to heal. Your paper cuts that you get, you know, it's not like, oh, this magical medicine just sewed up my cut together.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work like that. And then for women, it's like when your period, your uterus is literally shedding and bleeding because of it, because it's a wound. But, you know, you patch it up within those days and you're good to go again for another 21 to 28 days. Like, our body is capable of healing. But again, like, when you're not resting, you're not giving your body the space to do that. And so 7 types of rest. There's physical rest, which is, you know, sleep to recover yourself from the physical level. There's mental rest, which can be like journaling or listen to music or just stillness. A lot of activities you can do encompass multiple types of rest. So there's like, so like yoga can encompass physical for stillness, but also mental for thinking of pretty much nothing, hopefully. There's also emotional rest, and then there's spiritual rest, there's social rest, there's creative rest, and there's one that I always forget. Hold on. Physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, social, creative. What the hell is the last one? It'll come back to me later. Yeah, but you know how sometimes people feel like, oh, I feel so drained mentally, or I feel like my soul's being sucked out of me? Because you need the right kind of rest to actually replenish the right type of fatigue. It's like if you have a cold, your doctor is not just going to prescribe you allergy medicine or chemotherapy, because that would be crazy. So if you're emotionally drained, do you think sleep would be the best option, or do you think there'd be something else better, like, you know, talking to therapists or journaling or crying in the shower?
I see. I was talking to a friend the other day, and she said, oh, I'm sleeping, but I still feel so drained. And I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, you know, like when I'm not doing anything or when I'm resting, I'm like scrolling on social media or like watching a movie. And it took me a while to realize that it's not really rest, because you're still actively engaging in something. It's almost like I almost view it as like an escape more than like a rest thing.
Yes.
And it's so crazy how if you just make time for yourself to do nothing, like good things will happen. Yeah. And it's like especially in today's world. And so when I went to school, I went for engineering, and that's like death. Like you wake up, you go to class, like you sleep, and then you do it again. and then like in between my classes, like I had a study group, right? So in between my classes, we would just do assignments, and it's you just repeat that over and over again. Gosh. And then like that basically conditioned me to really, really, really value productivity, and to not really value anything else. And going back to your analogy of like the car and the lights, like I basically conditioned myself to just ignore all the lights. Yeah. At some point, I realized the importance of sleep, and like you do run, I guess, like micro experiments that teach you things in small instances. Like one time I ran this experiment where I was like, I wonder what happened if I get enough sleep. And it was great for like a couple weeks. And then, you know, like shit happens. Like, oh, it's exam season, and then you forget all those lessons. Yeah. And then you're just like, oh, back to ignoring all the lights. But where I was going with this is it took me a while to realize that, because when I started actually doing it, it is very rejuvenating. Yes. Like these days, I take more moments to just be like, okay, I am just going to lie in bed and do nothing. And it is great. And like me a couple of years ago would be like, that's unproductive, and like that's a waste of time, that's dumb, you're not doing anything. And now I'm like, bruh. I had another friend that said, like, I don't know what we were talking about, but she's just like, I just think people need more time in their lives to just think. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, that's so true. Yeah, like, yeah. And I think like sometimes when you kind of get swept up in the, you know, like the movie tape that you play over and over again, kind of like what you mentioned earlier about like wake up, go to your job, game, go to sleep. Yep. You don't think, you know, everything's just kind of on autopilot. Yep. And so going back to your types of rest, I think I've really valued just creating space to do nothing.
Yes.
And I was watching a YouTube video one time, and this guy was going around talking to strangers. It was about like social skills.
Yep.
And he talked to people that were just sitting in the park, and he was like, oh, what are you doing? And they're just like, oh, nothing, just chilling. And they just have like a blanket out, and they're just like laying in the sun. And I was like, man, that's like dumb. You know, that's like unproductive. Like I could never see myself doing that. You know, that's like, why would I don't understand. I just fundamentally didn't understand. I was like, why would people do that? And then these days I'm like, I think I don't know if this was a couple months ago or like a year ago, but like I went on a walk, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to sit on this bench and just do nothing.
Yeah.
And it was like, I've never done this before. I'm going to try it. And I did it, and I was like, I kind of got bored, so I was like, okay, I'll just meditate, because like, you know, I was like, all right, I know how to meditate. This is kind of boring. And then that is kind of how it started, because, you know, like, you need to start somewhere at least. And so I was like, I've never done this before. I'm going to do it. And then afterwards I was like, wow, I feel so calm. This is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that I'm always interested in the
like, how did it start, right?
Yeah. I'm always interested in the how did it start, the transition period? So like when you were like, oh, I basically just didn't get enough sleep like for months.
Yeah, it's never just like, oh, I didn't sleep enough for 3 days. And no, it was months, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I really thought long and hard about it. It was months. I also remember the last type of rest, sensory rest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which ties in when you told me like your friend feels really drained, because most of us are overstimulated. Like, when we're doing something, we always need to have Netflix in the background, or we need to keep scrolling. Like, I just fell into that recently, had to pull myself back up. Yeah. Social media is just designed very disgusting. It's designed to have you addicted to it. They actually have people that they hire on staff to create these algorithms and formulas to keep you hooked, like reels, because everyone's attention span, like, attention is the greatest currency in the world right now. Yeah, so you always feel the need to be scrolling on something, tapping on something, listening to something, watching something, because you're overstimulated. From everything, like, again, the sirens that are blaring, driving, people talking everywhere, everything you want happening in a New York minute. Like, your body is constantly like, it's just vibing like up here, that like it doesn't remember how to be down here and chill and grounded and calm, like you said before. Because like you said, everyone's like time blocking their schedule. It's like, oh, I have to do this, and I have to do that, and I have to do that. I had study group between classes. Like, your mind doesn't know how to relax. And it's not because it's hard. It's because it's uncomfortable. Like, when you actually relax, like, the floodgates are opened, you may start crying, and you don't notice. Like, you don't know why you start crying. Or you notice your whole body just becomes so tense and pain, like aching, because you're finally able to relax. And all those chemicals that cortisol has been suppressing is finally able to be released. And you're just like, what the hell is this? And it's going to feel uncomfortable. And when it feels uncomfortable, your nervous system gets kicked into your sympathetic fight or flight. And you're just like, fuck. Like, why is it so hard to relax? Because it doesn't feel comfortable. You're not used to it. You keep pushing yourself in the hustle, go. You're not going to know how to stop. Yeah, it's like, when I first started being this like chill person that likes to sleep a lot and rest a lot, it was uncomfortable. Like, I was like, what do you mean I can sleep 8 hours a night and not wake up during the middle or sleep really poorly? What do you mean I can take naps? And then I started taking more naps. And then I started not needing naps anymore because I didn't feel tired anymore. So I said, like, we have the sympathetic fight or flight, right? So our nervous system has autonomic nervous system, has sympathetic fight or flight, and parasympathetic rest and digest. Most of us do function in the fight or flight, because fight or flight was developed for us to survive, again, from the saber-tooth tiger or the grizzly bears or everything. We don't have that level of stimulation where we literally feel like we're gonna die the next minute. And so our body gets bored. Our body gets so bored, and it's like, okay, what's similar? What can give me the same high?
Let me look for another threat.
Like, most people that exercise usually have a really good ability to balance between both of their nervous systems. But for a lot of sedentary people don't. And they're like, their saber-tooth tiger is that email that slides into your inbox at 3 p.m. on a Friday, or the 2 missed calls from your mother-in-law, or that text message from that friend that you really don't want to talk to that triggers you, or seeing an expiration date on your milk that was like yesterday, or seeing gas prices rise. Like, those have become triggers for you to be so stimulated that you're just like, oh my God, now everything can stimulate me. What do I do? And part of the reaction can be like, okay, maybe I just stay overstimulated all the time, which is why you're like, I gotta keep scrolling. It is a thrill. It feels good.
It does feel like a thrill thing, and then at times, like, it just feels like you can't relax.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, I want to chill, but like, I don't want to chill. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like, I think I should chill, but I don't feel like chilling. I gotta do the next thing. I gotta look at my to-do list. I gotta all these things, and going back to what you said about the analogy that I kind of visualized when you were talking about this was it's kind of like layers. It's like your body is telling you something, but there's so many like layers of like, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta like, oh, what about like, oh, high gas prices, oh, maybe I'll just wait until the gas prices, oh, my milk's about to expire, I gotta go grocery shopping, what am I gonna eat tomorrow? You know, it's like, it's all these things. And then I know there have been times where I meditate, which is when I just sit and try not to think about anything, or I just breathe or focus on one thing. And I notice, I'm like, oh, I feel sore in my legs because I ran the other day. I should probably stretch that. And it's like, it's so like, you got to go through so many layers to like get to that position where it's like, oh, your body's telling you something, but it's like all the way down here.
Yeah.
And you got all this stuff. And I think for a while, I did find quite a lot of enjoyment in being productive. And so this parasympathetic sympathetic nervous system thing is something that I recently revisited, because when I was in Mexico, I met someone that was very into meditation and breathwork. I met 2 people that were very into like this type of stuff.
I love people in Latin America, dude. They're so chill.
Yeah.
I have this friend that I talk to from Peru like every 2 weeks, and we just like vibe for 4 hours on Zoom.
Nice. Yeah. Is she also into like meditation and breathwork too?
She is a art therapist.
Art what?
An art therapist.
An art therapist. I
Yeah.
see. Oh, nice.
Yeah, so she's really cool. But yeah, everyone in my circle meditates and journals.
Nice. That's cool. That's cool.
Please continue your story.
Yeah. So, and she said, like, we were talking about this, and she said, oh, did you know that when you take a deep breath, your parasympathetic nervous system gets triggered? So it causes you to relax.
Yeah.
And I've had this in multiple, like I said this once, I did a podcast with one of my previous co-founders when we tried to start a startup, and there would be times where we'd be in the Discord call and I'd be freaking out over something. I'm like, how are we going to make money on this? Like, oh, we're losing this, we're not doing this. And he's like, take a deep breath. And I'd be like, and then I would just feel better. And in my Mexico trip, because like I have this ring now that kind of tracks my health stats,
Aura ring?
Yeah, Aura ring. Yeah. I looked at my heart rate, because like in Mexico I had a period where my heart rate was very high, and I took a deep breath and it went down by 30.
That's a lot.
Not like not forever, right? It's
no, but that's a lot.
Like yeah, and then I repeated it, and like the range was always around like 20 to 30, because my heart rate was it was like above 100 consistently. My body was fighting something.
It's exciting.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that was it. It was my body was fighting something.
Oh wait, you got sick.
Yeah, I was
you got sick. I remember.
I had like the stomach bug. And then I think I got sick along the way. And then like, so I really tried to prioritize rest, because I was like, my stats are shit right now. But anyways, it was such a cool thing, and I tried hot yoga for the first time the other day, and this conversation came up again, because you breathe a lot in yoga, like a lot of deep breathing.
Yep.
And so this conversation about the parasympathetic nervous system and how it's important, because it signals it's basically there to tell you to rest.
Yep.
And Yeah, that's important.
It's autonomic too, so it's not like you can control like, oh, I want to be in fight or flight right now. Oh, I want to be in rest and digest. No, you have to do something. And so breathing is really good because you're physically releasing these things and also intaking more oxygen into your brain to be able to do the full relax. So actually, one of the first things I do when I coach my clients for like being able to have a better meal for intentional eating is to do deep breaths, but box breathing. Box breathing involves taking in 4 deep breaths. Just count to 4, like as much as you can.
Yeah.
Holding it for 4 counts, then releasing it for 4 counts. And you do this 4 times. It easily switches you from fight or flight to rest and digest. And, you know, people notice the difference instantly because they're like, oh, I don't feel heartburn anymore. Oh, I don't feel bloated anymore. Again, your body doesn't give a fuck about digesting when you're trying to survive. So if you can actually help facilitate that, then you can actually break down and enjoy your food and fully take in all the nutrients and all the energetics from it.
I see. So I want to go back to the 7 types of rest. So
yes.
You said they were
physical.
Physical.
Yep.
Which makes sense.
Which is like sleep.
Yeah.
Sometimes light exercise, stretching, yoga.
Yeah.
There's mental, which is like journaling. I mean, meditation encompasses a lot of them.
Yeah. But I wanna
Yeah.
provide examples where it's like, what's a situation that you would do to be not rested?
Oh, right. Area? Okay.
So physical rest, for example, is like you do a lot of exercise and you're just really like physically tired, like your muscles are sore.
Yeah, it would be more like that. Or it's like, oh, I've been awake for 14 hours. I need rest.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
And then mental
would be like...
Was that the second one or...
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Mental, I mean, I kind of just scramble the order all the time.
Yeah.
Mental rest would be like, oh, I've been working at this math problem for 2 hours and I can't solve it. I need to take a mental break. So you just get up and go for a walk or just breathe or basically do anything but that. You can do things that, like you said, are on autopilot, or you can do things that require little to no mental capacity.
Yes.
Like, oh, I'm going to go play fetch with my dog.
Yeah.
Unless your dog is like super smart. I was like, I'm gonna take the ball, I'm gonna run. And take over the world. Watching the sunset's really good. That's when you would need mental rest. Or if you're like having a conversation with someone and they're really draining because they're making you solve all their problems. But that goes into emotional rest is like if someone just trauma dumps on you, or if your parents are going through something difficult and
like you listen to them argue all the time,
and you need to process it and everything. So that's when you would need emotional rest, which could involve crying in the shower, journaling, going to therapy, or talking to someone like a friend.
Sounds like letting your emotions out.
Having their permission to do so when you do it, so you're not trauma dumping on them. And then there's social rest. Social rest is like really important for introverts especially. It's just like, oh, I just want to be a hermit today. But it can also be the other way where I want to spend a whole day with someone I love and care about that can recharge my social battery. Not by doing anything intentionally, just by how they are. So that's like social rest. It's like, oh, I went through like 5 different Christmas parties this week. I'm done. I need social rest.
So it's kind of like you're done with people. So it's like you can either spend time alone to recharge or spend time with people you really like.
Exactly, And then there's, how many do we cover? 4, right? Yeah.
I'm losing track.
It's like 4. And then there's creative rest, which a lot of us don't do now because we think creativity, like what's the first thing that comes to mind when I say creativity?
Art. Painting,
exactly.
Drawing.
And most people are like, oh, I'm not artistic. I said that. I'm one of those people that said that exactly a year ago. Creative rest can be anything. So it's something you need when, you know, you've been having to draw on the lines and play by the rules and do everything to the book for a long time. Creative rest is something that allows you to infuse your soul into something or infuse your creativity into something. So like redecorating your room or creating a new avatar in an online game is creative rest. For me, it's like redecorating my room or my Animal Crossing house. But it can also be cooking. Because culinary arts is an art. It could be like, oh, I'm going to make a soup today. I'm going to add these 3 vegetables and like a tomato, which is technically a fruit. Like that is creative rest.
This one's interesting. When would you need creative rest?
Again, like when you feel like you've been playing by the book for too long. Like
too
sticking
structured.
to the rules. Like way too structured. Way too sacred masculine.
Yes.
Where you're just like, oh, it has to be like this. Oh, I have to do this. XYZ. you can just feel like stuck. Yeah. Because you see kids, they draw outside the lines all the time, and then they even use purple for like a nose or something. When you're like, why is the nose purple? They're like, because I want it to be. Yeah. So creative rest is allowing your creativity and your mental space and your spiritual space to just go wild, let your imagination and go crazy.
It sounds like play.
It is play, definitely. For me, creative rest also leads to your ability to actually make your dreams come true. Actually bring your dreams into reality. Yeah. So that's a really important part of that. And then we have sensory rest, which is like closing your eyes, like especially if you've been looking at the screen for too long. Or if you went to Sephora and your nose feels like it's been assaulted and you want to just smell something different. So that's one. Or if you ever go to like tastings, you'll notice they'll give you like an amuse-bouche or a palate cleanser in between courses. That's also to give you sensory rest. Or say you've been at a concert and you just want to listen to absolute silence or classical music for the next day. That's also sensory rest. And then the last one would be spiritual rest. It's anything that connects you to the greater. So it doesn't have to be like to like God or anything. It could be non-religious. Like I don't consider myself to be religious, but I consider myself to be pretty spiritual. You can connect to, like for me, it's like my deeper purpose, like connecting to my why, like why I want to serve humanity. Why I want to start with, you know, helping everyone sleep 8 hours a night and drink boba without tummy troubles, because I want everyone to understand the importance of rest and digest, because our world is very demanding and distracting. But if everyone gives your body space to actually do these things and be the person that you're meant to be, then the world would be a happier place. Or so I think, for now.
When, yeah, like, I mean, like, I feel like with purpose and direction, it, you know, it changes as you collect more information.
It definitely does. So that's why I said for now.
Yes, I know what that's like. I really know what that's like. When would somebody need spiritual rest?
When you feel like you've been drained because you work a 40-hour job. 40-hour job, like 40-hour week, and you're just like, oh, I'm just going through the motions. What was I made for? Like the Billie Eilish song. Why do I exist? What am I doing this for? Sometimes your purpose could be as big as I want to make the world a better place. Sometimes it could just be like, oh, I want to make sure that my kids don't grow up the way I do. Sometimes it could be like, oh, I want to help my parents work through their traumas. It just has to be, not has to, but it usually is something that's just bigger than you. Is helping you get spiritual rest. When you can connect to something bigger than yourself, that seems to share a realm with everyone else, that is spiritual rest.
I see. So I for me, an example I can come up with is feeling like I need to be in control of everything. And then realizing that I can't control everything, and I would just leave it up to the universe. That's perfect. Like you can't control people. If they decide to walk out of your life, then they decide to walk out of your life. It's kind of like stuff like that. And that's a lesson that I've learned recently. So
it's like when you think spiritual rest, you can think of like, oh, what would Jaden Smith tweet in like the 2010s?
Who's Jaden Smith?
Will Smith's son. His tweets were like unhinged. It was like thoughts when you're high, but it made sense because it was deep. If you actually, I don't know if he still tweets like that. It was like in the 2010s. He was tweeting like that, and I was like, interesting.
I see. One of the things that I don't know if I ever told you, I think I did, but one of the things that you pointed out to me in some of our conversations is you said I think a lot. This is you saying this to me.
I remember that.
Your message was like I don't know if it was a voice memo or like a text message, but you said you were like in the messages you sent me, you say I think a lot. Try to balance that out with I feel.
Yes.
And this is something that I have almost installed subconsciously because now I'm a lot more aware of that. And it's crazy because as someone who is trying to get more in touch with their emotions and understand more of how I feel and listen to my body more, I'm like, what is a way? what is a way to do this? And this is such an easy way to, because it was unconscious.
Yeah.
Like, it was such an easy way to identify when I was thinking too much versus when I was listening to my body.
Yep.
And it's beautiful because I really value communication. And so, like, the words that I use, I want to be very intentional with the words that I use. And this language, saying the words I think or I feel, is just, for me, I don't know if I can speak for other people. I think I can, because it's like, we say this all the time. You hear things like I think and I feel all the time. But for me, when I said these things, there was another layer of meaning that I never really thought about. And that was like, oh, well, if I say I think a lot for, let's say, an important decision in my life, then I'm really being logical about this decision. And I'm not being very intentional in terms of like listening to how my body responds or using other components that are important in decision making, like your emotions, your intuition, how you feel. And so that's something that I've noticed time and time again has come up. And I'm so glad you sent me that message.
It was really important, because when I was thinking a lot of it came from my ego, which, you know, your ego doesn't really always have your best interest in mind. Like, it does, but not coming from a place of love. Usually it comes from a place of fear. It's like, oh, I need to make this decision because otherwise my parents won't approve, or otherwise how would I look to the rest of my peers or my family? But when you can actually confidently differentiate between I think and I feel, you can make a more informed decision, and you can actually connect deeper with your intuition that way, in my opinion. So we have 7 chakra centers, and they each have an affirmation. So when you say I feel, you're tapping into your heart chakra. When you're saying I believe it should be either your crown chakra or your third eye chakra. I think it's your crown chakra, because your third eye is all about intuition. And then there's also, or I feel is more towards your sacral, actually, not for your heart. Your sacral chakra is like the one that connects you with your family as well. But a lot of your feelings, things that you hold in your lower back. And yeah, so when you can tap into those energies of them, it's really powerful, for sure. And that helps you solidify something from your solar plexus chakra, where your gut is, to really give you that identity of I am. And that basically helps you will your thoughts into your reality, aka manifesting.
Interesting.
But manifesting, again, is more towards like, people think like, oh, I'm going to manifest a house, therefore I just think about having a house and that's how I get it, right? Manifesting, as I learned, is more about being in that feeling and that state of mind of actually already owning a house. So there's actually science to manifesting, because you are trying to rewire your brain to actually act like you already have the house, and like what would that person be like, and that's actually going to motivate you and pick you up every single day towards that dream. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to manifest IU concert tickets, which I did not do, which I should have done, but did not get tickets. Like, oh, I'm going to manifest XYZ, therefore I'm going to envision like, what am I like, what's that person like, what's that version of Chanel like when she already has that.
I see.
And then you can actually close the gap, be like, okay, this is what I need to do. You have a much better, clearer sense of direction, like, oh, I need to do. And this all happens when you rest.
Yeah. Like when I think of manifesting, I don't think of like, you know, using your example. If you want tickets, they're not just gonna randomly show up in your mailbox.
Never.
You know? It's more so just being intentional about what you want, and then just keeping that front of mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How did you get into all this, like the more esoteric stuff? We've talked briefly a bit about human design in our conversations. You mentioned chakras just now. Like, what was that like, getting into all this stuff? Because it's not really based on logic. Yeah.
I found that logic can only get you so far. There are so many things that you just can't logic but feel right.
Like what for you? What instance, or, you know, series of instances led you to run up against the boundaries of logic?
Oh my God. I'm a chronic overthinker and an overanalyzer. And so it was just like, I was tired of just thinking too much. I just wanted to follow my gut for once and see like what would happen and fuck around and find out. It's been working well so far. And like, again, like I said, everything happens for a reason. Like, I wouldn't have felt like I needed to seek something else because getting into esoteric stuff helped explain a lot of things about myself to myself that I just never understood and could never find answers to. Like, oh, how come I can lucid dream? Never made sense. Couldn't really find anything related to it in terms of logic. Oh, how come I crave kale when I'm sad? Like, what? How does that make sense? Oh, because kale is green and supports my heart chakra and my heart muscle.
Let's see.
And I just always like believe that I was a little different in terms of being really intuitive. Like, I once predicted that. It wasn't really predicted. So I woke up from a dream that something had happened between my friend and her boyfriend at that time. First thing I did was call her in the morning. I was like, are you okay? She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I told her about what happened. She's like, yeah, I just had a fight with him. I'm like, huh.
Yeah, huh.
And, you know, gradually, the more these things happen, the more you think like, okay, there has to be an explanation for this.
Yeah.
What is the explanation?
Yeah.
And so that's how I got into more esoteric stuff as I got older.
I see. Yeah. I discussed this with someone else. I'll probably also have her on the podcast at some point. But I basically asked her the same question. I was like, you seem like super, super logical. How did you get into all this stuff? Because for me right now, I feel like I'm near the beginning, just like dipping my toes into some of this stuff. And I'm very, very logical. And I try to keep an open mind. So when someone like tells me something, I'm like, okay, like I'll think about it. But and she basically said the same thing. She was like, I tried things based on more of these esoteric things. Like, for example, human design says, here's like your human design birth chart. I forget what it's called. And it says, you are these things. Go out in the world and try them. And then she goes out in the world and tries them. And then she's like, wow, this works. I can't explain why, but it kind of just does. It's like, what? And then so many of those instances happen that you're just like, there's got to be something going on here.
Yeah, it's not a coincidence. It's definitely not a coincidence.
Yeah.
It's intentional. Yeah, it's just, I knew, okay, I'm pretty confident to the point where I'm cocky that I like know I can solve most problems myself. If I don't, I know who to turn to do that. But also, like, I want to learn more about myself, and I know there are things that I still can't find answers to. So I was like, okay, I do believe that there is a force out there greater than me that can help explain these things. I do still take things with a grain of salt. Like, I don't religiously follow like my horoscope or my human design. It's like, okay, this will provide me with a direction. It's still completely up to me whether or not I want to take this car and run with it. Yeah.
It's like a guide, it's like a guidebook, not a rule book.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
fun though.
Yeah. Why could you lucid dream?
Why could I lucid dream? Okay. I still am not sure about this.
Okay.
But I've had human design readings. I've had Akashic record readings. I had Reiki. A lot of things done to me this past year.
Yeah.
They all told me that my third eye has always been really active, and it's been covered for years, which was accurate because I had front bangs for years that covered it.
Interesting.
And then I finally I was like, oh, I'll do curtain bangs, and then they were like, yeah, that actually helped you activate your third eye chakra. So I am pretty intuitive. I can predict outcomes of things just based on my own gut intuition. But about myself though, it's not like I'm not gonna be able to tell you when the next pandemic is. I don't want to because that's gonna cause mass hysteria. But I just want to know like what direction I can take in. And I think part of being able to lucid dream is that I'm really good at visualizing. Like, I've visualized this podcast and how it's gonna go multiple times in my mind. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna be wearing white, even though white's not really a color that I often wear because I have a fear of it making me look fat, but whatever. And it's just the constant visualization. Your mind can't really differentiate that easily between imagination and reality. So if you keep visualizing, you make it more comfortable. And in a sense, I think that actually does help me with lucid dreaming.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Nice. You ask very good questions. And I really appreciate people who can ask really good questions. And I think it's like a common staple between coaches because that's kind of what coaches do. Yeah. So I have two questions. We can you can take them in whatever order you want. The first is, how did you get into coaching? Yeah. And the second one is, how did you learn how to ask good questions? Okay.
I'll answer the second one first. Okay. I didn't learn shit. I am so annoying. That every year on our anniversary with Ricky, it's always like happy annoying instead of happy anniversary. It started as a typo first. Yeah. I am so annoying. I will ask questions like a 5-year-old because I'm always curious and I just love learning. So I didn't learn jack shit. I just went back to being the annoying 5-year-old that I am because I like learning. So that's what got me into being a coach was actually something that my ex-best friend said. I still care about you even though we don't talk anymore. I asked her what were some of my good qualities. And the first one she said was, you're very good at challenging people and asking them questions to make them think about themselves. And that kind of solidified my transition from consultant to coach. Because all my life after school, I thought, okay, I'm a holistic nutritionist. I will work in clinics, but I will consult alongside a doctor. There's no way I can start my own practice. And I always thought like being a coach was going to be super hard. No, being a coach to me is being the person that can mentor someone, guide someone, cheer someone on, but guide someone back into themselves. It's something that they already have, which in our culture is like, or not culture, but in our world right now, everyone seems to believe that what they need is outside of themselves. And that drove me crazy. Yeah. Because I believe that too. Yeah. And for many years, to find out that it's not true, like all the answers are within me. Yeah. Everything that I need is within me. I just take these things or do these things, like take these courses to pull it out of me, to activate me, to supplement me with the information so I can go deeper. But it's already within me. Like you can't just tell me one day like, oh, Chanel, I want you to be a doctor. Now go get passionate about being a doctor. No, it doesn't fucking work like that. If it worked like that, we wouldn't have an understaffed medical system right now. But it was always something that was within me. And, you know, I just felt like, why not be a coach? I can do it. Like you said, I ask really good questions. I'm genuinely curious. I have the skill set. I'm a naturally born healer. I fully believe that I can transform people's lives, and I have been, whether they've been paid clients or just people that come on by. Like I had this very interesting and heated conversation or empowering conversation with the girl working at Cobb's Bakery, telling her about how cinnamon is really good for her period cramps. Yeah. And like she was like lit up by the time I was done. Yeah. And then she even put extra icing on my cinnamon bun. And I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So, but there's a difference between being able to ask questions and being able to ask good questions. Yep. So like, how did you get to the good questions? Part of that. The good questions. Yeah, the good questions. Yeah.
I put myself in my client's shoes, honestly. And I'm just like, okay. Usually when I see someone, I pretty much have a good picture of them or what they need. And so I'll ask them questions that will go straight into that. Like, I'm not here to play around. I'll get right to the point. Like, oh, you experience bloating. Okay, how are you eating? Like, what is your state of mind when you're eating? Or like, okay, you want to get healthier. Why? Because I actually had a client said this. I was like, why do you want to work with me? It's like, I want to be healthier. I'm like, okay, why? Like, everyone wants to be healthier. Tell me why. He was like, because I don't want to be fat. I was like, okay, tell me more. Why? Where does this happen? He was like, he's Australian. So he's like, I recently went to America. And I looked around and I got scared. I was like, okay. And then I was like, why did this scare you? And he was like, they were so unhealthy. And I've had a lot of people in my family have diabetes and they haven't been able to enjoy their quality of life as they get older, and all this missed time doing things with their friends and family. I don't want to end up like them. So I was like, that's the basis we're going to start this at. That's going to be your, I want to say like compass, but I don't like that analogy, but that's going to be your
starting point.
Yeah, it's going to,
like a
it is. It's going to, it's going to be that foundation that keeps pulling you back to why you're even working with me in the first place. And then I had another client that worked with me and was like, oh, I want to sleep better. I'm like, why? He's like, because I want to sleep better. I was like, okay, but like, why? He's like, because I feel so tired during the day. And I'm like, okay, like, and how does that affect you? Like, how does that really affect you? I like to pull people deeper into themselves to tell me their deepest, darkest secrets. And eventually he told me, I was like, oh, my dad has a lot of friends that are older and they pass away at such a young age. So suddenly, I don't want to end up like that, overworked and not resting and developing all these things. And also, I don't want to fall into depression again. And I know you have experience getting over depression and insomnia because you were diagnosed at 16. I think you're the person to help me. I was like, yeah, I am. And I just recently had a conversation with him. He told me he doesn't use melatonin to sleep. anymore. And it's been a year since we worked together. He hasn't touched melatonin since. And he's sleeping like 6 to 8 hours every day. And he works graveyard shift. And I'm just like, why didn't you tell me that when we were doing our Zoom interview, exit interview call? He's like, I didn't think it was significant. I'm like, this is a huge win. Like, so much of the world is taking melatonin to stay asleep right now. Like, this is a huge win. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I almost visualize questions as, it's kind of like you have a shovel. Like, questions are the shovel. But
you want to do it like,
what's the real reason?
Making them uncomfortable. But with me, I have this special superpower where like I make people feel really heard and seen and held in my containers. And that's why they just feel comfortable to open to me, to the point where I think I had a 30-minute intro call get dragged on to 2 hours because I had a lack of boundaries. But yeah, people feel super comfortable talking to me. And I'm just like, great, because I feel comfortable listening to you too, especially when I think I genuinely can help you with what I do best.
Yes. Yeah. I also think as a coach, you want to produce results, which
100%.
Basically in like layman terms means like you want to help someone improve their lives. Like,
yes.
Like actually, not like, not like actually.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to do that if you don't actually know the reasons why they want to do what they want to do.
Yeah. Because it really like just completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Shoots their compliance down if they don't even know the reason why. If you have that big why, like Simon Sinek said, you start with why, then you can always go back to it and they can evolve with you. Like, I wanted to close up shop for my business so many times this year. Okay, like 2 weeks ago I was like, fuck it, I don't want to do this anymore. But then I reconnect deeper with my why, which I do like pretty much every day now. I spend about half an hour just sitting in deep thought with it. And it's like, okay, if I don't do this, then like, who's gonna do it? There's no one else that can do it. Who else talks about nutrition and food and energetics the way I do? Nobody. Who cares more about resting and digesting than I do in my immediate circle? Nobody. Yeah.
So identity is like one of my themes for 2024. And I'm curious how you've developed your own sense of identity, specifically since some of the things that you talk about, such as rest, go against mainstream culture. Like sometimes when you're in a room with people and everybody else is saying one thing, be productive, you don't need 8 hours of sleep, blah 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 blah, all these like things that you hear like in the wind on the internet, whatever, and you have this differing opinion of like rest is super important. Like one of the things you told me in one of our messages was, you said the most productive thing you can do right now is rest.
Yeah.
And I was like, I never viewed it as that way before. Okay, cool. And so how did you establish your sense of an identity with these beliefs that seem against mainstream culture? Like, how did you develop that?
So hiring a coach was really good because my business coach is more of an energetics coach above all else. Because she hosts group containers, which one I'm still in right now. And so I get to surround myself with like-minded people, which make me feel less alone. And a very primal part of being a human is that you always want to feel like you belong, right? So of course, if I was doing this on my own, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you about it right now because I would still have trouble believing it. And second thing was, I actually just recently stepped into this identity. Who knows? It might fucking change again in a month. Because like a year ago, I was like, okay, I'm all about giving you back your energy. And then like at some point, I was like, okay, I'm all about helping you recover from burnout. And then at some point, I was like, okay, I'm here to help high-powered women get over food trauma. And it's like, the thing is, it's all of them. They kept evolving. And I kept thinking like, oh, maybe I'm being wishy-washy about my purpose. And so I recently stepped into, I think I'm just doing rest and digest. And then my container was like, girl, you could have told us this like 6 months ago and we would have told you this is exactly what you'd be doing. This part was really fun because I actually connected with who I was as a kid at 3 years old. What was I best at? And it always went back to this story that I'm constantly being told by my aunt and my mom, where I had my sippy cup full of Kool-Aid. I was holding it. I put it on the table. I laid out my blankie on the sofa. I grabbed the TV remote. I grabbed my sippy cup. I hopped on the sofa and I just laid there and turned on the TV. And I'm like, okay, so that means I'm really good at sleeping and resting. And since I was a kid, I know how to relax. And, you know, resting and digesting are the very fundamentals of why I've been able to go through so much shit in my life before I even turned 30. Because I trust my body, because I love my body, because I know my body so well. Which was actually one part of my thing. I was like, okay, my goal is to help you know, love, and trust your body. It was so fluffy and non-specific. But yeah, that's part of my work too. And so my identity was always about going deeper into who I was, like, as a kid. A lot of things that I picked up as a kid, I just got back into, like astrology and tarot, and food. Because when you're a kid, you're so unfiltered. What you were born with, what you were already interested in, is already so present in your life. So going back to who I was as a child really helps solidify my identity as who I am right now. Like, I'm doing it for that little me, but I'm also trusting her because she already knew what she wanted to do the minute she popped out. She wanted to pick up chopsticks for the very first time and reach for salmon sashimi on the table, and she wanted to lay out her blankie with her Kool-Aid sippy cup and just enjoy watching TV on a Sunday.
Damn. So it sounds like you reflected and found reasons looking back for the things you want to do now. Yeah. And then you have like a coach and additional support to help you with.
Yeah. Because I always, like, I still believe that, you know, my soul chose this body to have a human experience. You're not just your body, you're not just your mind, and you're definitely not just your soul. You're a culmination of everything. It's like a table. Like, it's mind, body, soul, you, and then this is like everything you get to make happen.
Yeah. So it's not just the tabletop, it's also the legs that make up the tabletop.
Exactly.
The legs are all different.
The legs are different, but they're very important.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So what is next for you? What do you have?
What do I have planned?
What do you have planned?
I have a concert next week.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah.
But if you meant like professionally and business wise, I'm taking one-on-one clients. I actually just recently opened my one-off offer for people that don't want to commit to my 8-week or 5-month container. It's called the Rest Stop. It's a $111 investment, but you get 90 minutes of just focusing on how you can rest and how you can digest the best right now to set up your foundation for further healing. I was told not to do a one-off session, but I kind of love them. And I know that, again, like, if it's a first time working with a coach, having those long containers can seem really daunting and terrifying. So having something light and fun and relaxing like the Rest Stop is a really good starting point.
What is a rest stop?
It's
what does that mean?
Do we not have those up here in Canada?
I don't. I've never heard of them personally.
What? Okay, so like when you're in the U.S. and you're on road trips, you get like rest stops that you stop.
Oh, rest stops.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you said rest ops.
Oh, no, no,
like
no,
rest
no, no.
opportunities? Like, okay, yeah.
I mean, it is a rest opportunity.
Yeah,
like,
rest
how else
stop.
are you going to make 90 minutes or take 90 minutes out of a day in a week to actually like rest and talk about resting and think less or think about resting?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have other questions about coaching and this space. So you mentioned this might be related to why you're thinking about closing up shop, but when you're a coach, it can feel like you always need to have your life together.
Yes.
So how do you balance being a human and also being someone that people come to for guidance?
You don't balance it. You're just the one. You're both of them at the same time.
But does that ever conflict in terms of like, okay.
Because nobody wants to hire a picture perfect coach. Because like my coach said, her successes taught her shit. It's the mistakes that we've made. It's like, when I hire a coach, I don't want someone to have like a perfect feed. That's boring. It's like, I don't think I have anything to learn from them. And I don't generally feel like they have any connection to me. Especially as like emotional buyers. Most women are emotional buyers. You want to connect with a human being. Like, yeah, there's definitely, it can definitely feel like both. Like, oh, you feel like you have to get your shit together, but you're a human being. But, you know, not having your shit together is actually what gets people to work with you, because they're like, oh, you're like this, how do you pick yourself back up? Can you teach me how to do that?
I see.
Because like I was sick, and I'm a health coach. Like I told you earlier this week, I was sick for 3 days straight. And I posted on social media about it. I was like, I'm a fucking human, I guess. Like I'm not picture perfect. I'm not like super healthy. I'm not Wolverine with like self-healing powers. I got sick. And then I also posted like, this is how I'm going to take care of myself. And I showed up yesterday on social media. Bam, I feel like I'm at 90% already. And then now people are like, oh, I'm so glad to hear. Like, what did you do? And I'm like, I'm going to put together a stomach food cheat sheet for everyone to see. So you'll know, like, these are the exact steps I took. These are the symptoms I went through. And this is why I did what I did.
When you get lost in your way, or when you question whether or not this is the right thing for you to do, or whether or not you're good enough at what you do, what do you fall back on?
I want to say my containers and my coaches, but that's secondary. I fall back on myself.
Okay. What does that look like?
What does that look like? That looks like accepting that I'm a fucking hot mess. That looks like staring at my room and my pile of unfolded clean laundry and wondering like, what the fuck, Chanel? Like, what's not working right now? Like, why isn't this done? And I just like, sometimes I will just binge video game until I cry and some stuff gets released. Or sometimes I will just sleep some more and dream it out, or lucid dream it out. Sometimes I'll find things to do. But I just allow and accept myself to be the hot mess that I am in the moment, and then ask myself, why? Why isn't this working? What can I change? What has changed? What doesn't need to be changed? And just a lot of self-evaluation. It helps to be really self-aware, which is, the self-awareness came from self-shaming. So I hope your self-awareness doesn't come from self-shaming, because it's painful. But I know, like, for me, being a good coach is, being able to fall back on myself and to teach my clients to be able to do that. Because at the end of the day, like, it's sad to say, but you're the only one that has your back. Someone can't just like push you forward, be like, okay, you're gonna go be a lawyer right now, or like, oh, here, go be happy. It doesn't work like that. It has to come from you. Like, you have to want it. And like, I want it, even if it's buried deep down in like two piles of unwashed laundry, one pile of washed laundry. It's down there somewhere. And the only way I can access this again is by resting.
Could you provide kind of like an example of a time, maybe like when you wanted to stop doing all this stuff, and then you relied back on yourself, and what that kind of looked like?
Let's see here. So I didn't get any sales calls booked for the past 3 months because I wasn't intentionally showing up, but that comes later. So I was beating myself about it. I was like, what isn't working? What's my messaging wrong? Should I change my offer again? I was just questioning that. Like, I was operating under the pretense that everything I was doing was wrong. Which like made me feel like absolute shit. Because I was like, okay, maybe I should just get a job, go back to the stability that I had, right? And so what I ended up doing was I admitted that, I haven't signed any clients for 3 months. Does that make me a worse coach? No, that actually has no effect on my coaching ability. What did I do to make this happen? I haven't been showing up authentically and vulnerably on my social media, or on any of my platforms, or just in general. What would showing up vulnerably look like? Actually finally talking about my story, about how I've burnt out, all the struggles I've been through, instead of being that picture perfect coach that everyone thinks you need to be to succeed in the industry. And then other questions I asked myself would be, okay, what do I want to do next? Which is why I launched the Rest Stop, which is why I started attending different virtual events to network and get more people. What am I scared of? Not looking perfect. Not, just like failing and everything. But it's like, okay, who do I want to be? Like, why? Who do I want to be? And I was like, okay, I want to be a version of myself who, has clients booked out every day, makes 6 figures every year. Like, how would that person think? And just going into that identity as well was a huge one. That's a huge visualization exercise. But at the end of it, the most important question was like, why do I do what I do? And that connected me deeper into my why, as in like, again, want to make the world a better place, and then just going backwards from that, like how do I do it personally as myself? So I would say that's a pretty good culmination and summary of the steps I took to actually get there.
I see.
A lot of it is mindset work. And yeah, in terms of like body work, I went back to food, water, sleep, movement, and meditation. Yeah. My foundations for every day. And that manually helped me pick myself back up.
Yes. To
actually get into that mind space to be able to think about these things, because they're extremely uncomfortable to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like, you know, the stuff you mentioned was like the basics, and that helps, right? Like food, nutrition, sleep. But then it also sounds like self-reflection. Yep. And then also just accepting it and letting it happen. Yeah. Which is such like a, no offense, but like, and I don't mean in like an offensive way, but it sounds like a lame answer, because like it does sound like a lame answer. Like, I've had those instances too where I'm like, I want to do this, but like I'm not doing this. Why am I not doing this? And then I try a bunch of things, and then like it's so strange how when you just accept, you're just like, this is the reality, this is how it is. Okay. Moving on, you know,
because it's the thing is like, it's neutral. You have to understand, if a client hops off a call with you and they don't want to work with you, they say no. The no is neutral. Yeah. It doesn't mean you're a shitty coach. It doesn't mean you're a shitty business owner. It just means they're not your person. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so accepting it is about like, making it neutral, but also just surrendering to the result that like, there's gonna be another one. There's something else I can do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's
so. I always find it so interesting how your perception of something can really change how you can interpret something. And so if you perceive something negatively, then, you know, but if you perceive it positively, it's like the perception matters. So much. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know, it's such a lame answer. No,
but
it's right. It's very valid, and I can speak from my own experience too when I say like
at some point you just get tired of fighting. You just don't want to fight it anymore. Yeah, you're just just let it happen, and then we'll see what we can learn from it and take it forward.
It's like, wow, the answer to pick yourself up is you just like lay there for a little bit, and then, you know, accept it for what it is.
Like when a toddler falls, they just cry for a bit, and then they're like, okay, I can get up. They don't sit there crying for like days until someone picks them up. Yeah, I make the toddler reference a lot, because it's really that easy. When you just give no fucks and you have no shame, and you're just like, I'm gonna throw a fucking tantrum.
I think it almost feels like lost in a way where I use the reference like treating a child a lot too, because it feels lost. In a way, like, oh, you're talking to yourself this way. If a child was going through the same thing, would you talk to a child this way? And be like, no. And that frame of reference always helps me, and it's just so interesting how different the behaviors are. It's like, oh, I'm talking to myself this way, right? Like I'm doing this thing for the first time, but I'm doing it in a really, really shit way, and I think I suck. And it's like, okay, child does that for it's like, no, you wouldn't. They're doing it for the first time. They don't know any better. They're learning.
You're gonna have to suck. Like,
exactly.
I was not good at asking questions.
Yeah.
And I got better at it, because you just keep doing it. Again, it's not hard. It's just not comfortable.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So we're almost at time. Do you want to shout out your socials or anything like that?
Yeah, you can find me chatting about food mainly, but off tangent on a lot of topics on Instagram at Chanel Huynh. That's CHANEL CHUYNH. I think I'm gonna make Andy post it on wherever your podcast is posted.
Yeah, I'll throw it down in the description.
Yeah, just chat with me, book a call. Sleep more and eat more, or sleep better and eat better. Yeah, I had my bio to like, helping women rest and digest in a demanding and distracting world. And then like 2 days later, I woke up and immediately changed it. It was like, helping you sleep 8 hours and drink boba without tummy troubles. Because, you know, I think sometimes professionalism is overrated. Sometimes people just want to have fun, like you said, creativity.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
And check her out. And I'm excited to see what you come up with. Because I've been watching your journey every now and then,
Yeah.
and seeing the Instagram bio changes. I'm like, oh, okay.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm changing them like every 2 weeks.
Yeah. I'm like, it kind of feels like you're trying on a new outfit, you know?
It does,
So
yeah.
It's like, and it's like, I think so many people don't see the experimental period of like, they just see like, this is where people start, and then they stop watching because it's like it's irrelevant or whatever, and then they see like, this is when they're mega successful, and they don't see like the in between.
Yeah.
So it's cool to watch the in between. It's like, oh, okay.
In between is weird,
Yeah.
dude. It's such a weird space to be in, but it's fun. Like, it's like the anything can happen. Like, maybe tomorrow I will sign like 2 clients at 5K. Like, you don't know that. If I want it to happen, it'll happen.
Yeah.
But, you know, right now I'm busy staring down my pile of unfolded laundry.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well,
Thanks for
coming
having
on.
me.
Really enjoyed this conversation, and yeah, thanks everyone for listening. All right, we'll see you
Which
later.
camera do I look at?
All of them. All right. Bye. I'll see you later.